Welcome back, students. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you how to make another graph. This time we're going to make a pie graph. A pie graph always tells us the percentage. Again, we're going to make a pie graph and it always tells us the percentage. So we're going to go back to our chart and you'll notice that at the end we are going to, after we have converted from fraction to decimal and then to percent, we're going to take our percent numbers that when we add it and it should equal 100, we're going to actually put it on a graph now. So you will have downloaded on Google Classroom this percentage wheel. Okay, the percentage wheel looks like this. Okay, I found this nice little wheel to help us make our pie graph. Okay, so here we go. So the very first thing you guys are going to do is you're going to take your first percent. So my first one was 38. And it doesn't matter actually where you start. It's just that it's easier if you take the first one so you can keep track of what you're doing. So I'm going to do 30%. You're going to start on your pie graph at 0. And then you're going to count all of your notches until you get to 38. So in this case, I will start here at 0 and I count it all the way over here. And here we are at 38 because this is 35. So this right here is 38. So when I do it, I'm gonna highlight and make it dark so you guys can see it. And so when I count it all the way around on those little numbers, I got to 38. And if you guys have a ruler, it may be best to take a ruler so you can have a straight line as much as possible. And then you're going to draw your line so that it looks like this. Okay, so now this whole section is 38%, like so. Okay, so then next on my chart was 13%. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start where I left off on 38 and I'm going to count. And so after I count, once I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 13, I found that 13 stopped right here. Okay, and it's actually along this line. So here's my 13%. Okay, and I would suggest that you do this with your pencil, just in case if you make a mistake, then you can go ahead and erase it and do it again. Okay, so after that, after you have your 13%, you'll notice that on my chart next is 3%. So then I'm going to count 3, 1, 2, 3, and my 1, 2, 3 ends up being right here. So then I'm going to line up my ruler. I don't have a ruler. All my stuff is at school, of course. And so here's my 3%. And then I'm going to label that this is 3%. Okay, so then I'll go back to my chart and I'll notice that my next color is 9%. So I'll do the exact same thing and I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on these little notches. Some of these little notches may be difficult to see, but I think after you guys get used to the spacing of the notches, you'll be able to figure it out. So when I get to 9 is here. So I'm going to go back to the center. It ends up being right here. And I'm going to draw a line that leads me to 9. So here's my 9%. Okay, so here's my 9% right here. And then I'm going to go back to my chart 2 more times. My next one, which is my color brown, is 22%. So then I'm going to count again each notch till I get to 22. And then I found that 22 is about right here. So I'm going to make my little notch. And then I'm going to line up my ruler so that it will line up and make me a perfect slice right here. And so here's my 22%. Actually, I'm drawing these sideways, but you could have made them straight because I know some of you guys are very neat as to how you want your work to look. So you can do it all the way around like a clock if you want, or you could have the numbers facing you and facing all the same way. It's fine with me. Then you're going to take your last number, and my last number is 16%. Now, because this all should equal 100 when I get finished with it, the rest of it should be at the rest of the number. So if I count from here all the way to my first one, I should get 16. And when I did, I got 16%. So here's my 16%. Okay, so now my last thing that I need to do, so now here's my slices. Because remember, it has to all equal 100. So my last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my chart. I know that based on my chart, 38% is blue. So I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to color it all in. So here's my 38%. Some students in the past, when we've done this project, after they've colored it in, they will take a dark marker and they will write the percent in the pie, which is fine too. So if you want to do that, you can as well. So you want to make sure this is all neatly colored, because at the end we want to make sure we have a complete pie with all the colors. Okay, and so now next, my red is 13%. So I'm going to grab my red, make sure it looks red, and I'm going to color it in. That's my 13%. All nice and neat. And then next on my chart is yellow. Yellow is 3%. So I'm going to color that in. It's like, man, I only had one little yellow M&M. That kind of sucks. But it is what it is. Okay, so there's my yellow. And then my orange is 9%. So I'm going to go to my orange. I'm going to color that in. And make sure that you match them up correctly, because that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for. Does the pie graph match your chart? Okay, so now my next color is brown. My brown is 22%. And I'm going to do a mix of that one because I don't have a brown. So I'm going to mix this with a couple of things to give it another shade. Here's my make-believe brown here. I'm going to try to make it look as brown as possible, you guys. All right, I'll mix it up with some. So here's my brown. That's my brown. That is 22%. And then next on my chart is my 16%, which is green. Oh, you know what? I didn't color it all in. I stopped at some point. This should all be colored in because this was 22, so this was pretty big. Sorry. You do a big old mix here. This should all be brown. All right, so then our last thing on our chart is the green. So I'm going to color in the green, and that should completely cover our pie graph. Okay. And you guys, like I said, you guys gonna color a lot better than I will. Okay, so here is your pie graph. So you'll notice that The 0 needs to be here at the top. Now it is okay that if you want to keep it on this paper and present it on here, you can. If you want to cut this out and put it on another sheet of paper, you can. However, don't forget, you got one little last step you have to do, and that is to create a title. So this one is going to be the percentage of M&Ms. So you're going to do the percentage of M&Ms. Okay? And then you can label it pie graph if you want. And by the way, just so you guys know, this is a pie graph that always shows us percents. The other graph that I showed you guys that we created, I'm going to go back to it really quick, this is a bar graph, but it has another name. The other name is a histogram. So you'll see that actually in my Google Classroom. This is a histogram. This one, pie graph. The bar graph always tells us the amounts. The pie graph always tells us the percentage. Okay? So I can't wait to see all your graphs that you're going to create for the project. And I expect great work. So thanks for coming along with me and making graphs.